I decided to do this podcast to honor my husband who passed 1 year ago. I wanted to share a little bit about the man I love for almost 30 years and who was with me and always for us, Robert Greene. Doing this podcast, you're going to laugh with me, you're going to cry with me, and you will experience the journey with me on how I made it through my first year without my love. It is as if God whisked me through the year. It seemed like in a blink of an eye. One moment I was burying my husband, then it was summer. Next came the holidays, and it seemed as if I looked up and 1 year had gone by, just in a flash. God had let me survive the bad days. He was there when sometimes I cried all night. He was there when sometimes I didn't feel like getting out of bed because Robert wasn't there anymore. God brought me through all the bad times and gave me some good times to remember. That is what brought me through the year. I still have my moments when the tears flow, but I know now I will survive. That is my grieving to believing. Enjoy the podcast.
To my podcast family, good morning. I'm glad to have you back with me again. Just want to let you know this podcast will be totally different from anything that I've aired before. This is going to be different from stuff in the past we've done. It's coming up on 1 year's anniversary of my husband Robert's passing. And this podcast is in memory. And I wanted to share the wonderful man that I was married to for 27 years. Like any relationship, it was never perfect. We had our ups and downs. We had our good, bad, never ugly, but we always end up good. And I thank God for it never being ugly. But we always ended up on a good note. And I will be your guest today. And Patricia Lawson, my friend and my first lady, has agreed to be the lovely host for this podcast. Sister Lawson, I am going to turn this podcast over to you now.
Thank you. And thank you for trusting me with such a sensitive and heavy subject regarding your grief and Robert's grief. But I want to start off on a lighter note. Tell us about your relationship. How did you meet? Was it love at first sight? Share that with us.
I met Robert in 1996, the year that the Olympics was here. I was introduced to Robert by my daughter Tracy and Quincy, his nephew. At the time, they were in a relationship, and I believe Quincy thought that I needed to meet his uncle. I love to cook, I love to play cards, love to entertain, and he just thought that, that we would be a good match for each other.
Okay.
So, and I was in a relationship before that, and I understand that he wanted to introduce me to Robert before that, but Tracy kept saying, no, that's not right. You can't do that. So when that relationship dissolved, Quincy set it up that I would meet his uncle. Okay. Now, I had seen him before, but I didn't really meet him. Tracy at that time was a cosmetologist, and she and Quincy worked in the same shop. Mm-hmm. And Robert had a ritual. Every Saturday, he got his hair cut. Every Saturday. Wow. And I had come into the shop a few times, and, he had been in the chair. And I understand later after I met him that he had asked Quincy a couple of times who I was. So, move forward. Quincy set up a meeting, and Tracy and Quincy and I went down to Columbus Square because he worked in the building there. He was a letter carrier, and he worked in the building there. And when we got there, we sat down, and he sat down, and he had this conversation going on with Quincy. Never paid me any attention. And the only thing he said to me was, hey, So I finally got up and went shopping. And I'm thinking, okay, he's not interested. That's fine. I think by that time I had been a widow for about 6 years when I met him. But I guess maybe about a week later, my phone rang. And I answered. He said, hi. He said, this is Robert. I'm going, who? He said, this is Robert's Chris's nephew. And, we carried on a conversation from that and eventually started dating.
Okay, sounds interesting. And even though he had been asking and inquiring about you, I understand that he declared himself a forever bachelor. So how did it happen that the two of you ended up walking down the aisle and saying, I do?
When Robin and I started talking, and we talked for a while over the phone before we actually had a date. And I don't know how, but the topic of marriage came up, and he said to me, he said, I've been married before. And I think he had been married. He was married for 2 years before he and his wife separated. He said, I've been married before. He said, I'll never want to get married again. And I said, I don't have a problem with that. I said, I appreciate you being honest with me. If we're going to go into a relationship, I'm glad to know where you stand. I said, but you have to understand that I've been married twice. I've had 2 great marriages. So if I decide I want to get married again, you go your way and I go mine. And that was the way that we left it. But we did start dating. Eventually, the first time he came to my house, he always has said what a great kisser he was, right? Bragging about what a great kiss he was. So when he decided, first time he's going to come to my house, I said, I'm going to see. I met him at the door, opened the door. Back then it was Banaka. Took a Banaka. I said, okay, show me. And fortunately, he wasn't wrong.
Okay.
So we started dating. We started having sleepovers. Overnight. And then he got to the point that he would come on Thursday and leave Monday morning, so he'd bring a change of clothes for work. And then next thing I know, the more pieces of his clothing end up in my closet.
In your closet.
And to the fact that his mom told him, you taking all these clothes out here, don't bring them back. That's what he told me. His mom said. So, we lived together for about 2 years before we got married. And he had a bumper sticker on his car that says, marriage is like sleeping with the enemy. I never asked him to take it off because that's the way he felt, that was it. But we were in bed one night, and we always laugh and talk. We talked about his past, his relationships, mine, him growing up, me growing up. And at the time, I worked as a director of housekeeping at Crown Plaza over on the airport. And he said to me, he said, you know what? He said, one day I'm going to call you up and tell you to meet me down at the courthouse. I said, and he said, and you can wear that uniform that you wear when you have to help them clean rooms, and I'll bring you a Sprite, because at that time, that was my drinking a Sprite. He said, I have you come on down there and you meet me at the courthouse, And I go, okay. And we just laughing about it, because I'm thinking this kidding, About 2 weeks later, we at his mom's house, and he said to them, he said, I'm getting married. And I'm thinking, that was a proposal. And I didn't even realize I was being proposed to. And so we did. We got married about a year later.
Okay.
And I don't know. I often ask him, especially when I get mad at him, I'm going, how did I get to be the lucky one? To get stuck with you? But yeah, that's how we met.
So how long were you married?
We were married for 27 years.
Prior to his death.
Oh yeah, we were married for 27 years. We were together for almost 30.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were blessed, and we had a long life together.
Praise God.
Yeah. And
Now, he was also in the military.
yeah, he spent Robert spent 4 years in the Air Force. Never saw combat. Spent a tour in Spain. He had a good time.
Okay.
That was the first time he's ever been away from home. His mother, I think, always kind of kept him close to her breast, you know. So when he came back, he was pretty wild. I mean, one thing he loved was two things: alcohol and women. So, those was his things that he learned while he was away from home. But yeah, and he said he would have continued in the service, but when time to re-enlist, and you know they sit you down and try to get you to stay, and he said, "Well, is there a chance I'll see action?" And they said, "We can't promise you." He said, "Okay, I'm going home." So he spent his 4 years, and
in the military.
yeah, in the military, and then he spent with his military 4 years in military. When he retired in 2013, he had 49 years of service with the Postal Service. You know, they let him carry over
From the military.
those years. So.
Wow. Okay. So now in your earlier days, or in the days coming up to prior to his illness, how did he celebrate Mother's Day and your birthdays, and what was special about those days that you can remember that he did for you?
Robert was not a very vocal person about his feelings. I mean, you could tell that for the way he proposed to me. You know, he wasn't, and I think it's because of the era he grew up in. You know, the men were totally different about expression, the way they felt.
Okay.
But he was, when it came to Valentine's, birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas as well, he always took special care in the cards that he would give me.
Okay.
Just a moment. I'll share with you.
Okay.
And he always, through his cards, you know, let me know how he felt, you know, and who and what was important in his life. This is one of them, and it says, "To the woman I am so glad I married. You're everything to me. No one else could understand and know me like you do. No one else could be my love. No one else but you. No one else could comfort me with just a touch, a look, or make me laugh and help me to enjoy life half as much. No one else could be for me the special, perfect blend of a wife who's strong, but also the most gentle, caring friend. You're my wife, my love, my whole world, and my every dream. Happy Valentine's." Always and forever. He'd always sign it, Big Papa.
Okay.
So that's a Valentine's. Let's see if we can do an anniversary real quick. When I said I love you, it means you're the best thing that ever happened to me. And I can't imagine my life without you and your love. When I say I love you, it means you are the one I want forever by my side and in my heart. I love you. Happy anniversary, Big Papa. And I'll share one more with you. And those were the way that he picked his words. This is a birthday one. Happy birthday to my wife. I want to grow old loving you. There's nothing I'd rather do than live my life in love with you. The fun that being with you brings our memories made of little things. The talks we have, the jokes we share, the hugs, the kisses here and there. Happy birthday, Big Papa.
And they sound very personal.
Yes.
Sounds as if they were designed for you in your relationship.
And they also brought some tears, you know.
Okay.
But he until he fell into his grief journey, you know, every year, every special occasion, you know.
He made it special.
He let me know how special I was in his life, and I did the same.
Wonderful. That is wonderful. Now, you read the card regarding your anniversary, and anniversaries are times that we celebrate. But now you're approaching an anniversary that may not feel much like a celebration, and that is the anniversary of his death. What are you planning to do?
Jesus. Sister Lawson. I thought about doing the podcast in his memory. I just wanted to share with everybody the man he was. The man that made me eventually fall in love with him. Because it wasn't love at first sight. But he eventually became the man that I fell in love with. I will spend the anniversary, unfortunately, in bed because I'm having some surgery, so I won't be mobile. And that's a sad part for me because it gives me time to do nothing but to think about my loss. I can't get up and, hang out with friends or go out to eat or anything that would kind of deter my emotional feelings for February the 2nd. But I'm hoping God has got me through the last 11 months, praying and hoping He'll get me through the next few weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's going to be rough. I still look for Him when I come in the house. I still listen for His voice, but I have to realize that I'm not the only one who's lost someone in their lives. So I just have to pray God to get me through all of this.
Now, Elizabeth Ross, in her book, Death and Dying, identified 5 stages of what people go through when they realize that they may be approaching death. And now those same stages are used during the grieving process. Because you and Robert were so close and you were as one, when he got the diagnosis of cancer, do you feel like you went through those stages with him as far as being in denial, being the stages are the stages of denial? Did you get angry? Did you bargain with God? Did you go in a state of depression? Or did you, before you finally got to the stage of acceptance? Or did you ever get to the stage of acceptance?
I don't think I ever got to the stage of acceptance. I think I was in constant denial.
Okay.
Although we were going for treatment sometimes twice a month, I always kind of felt like, we would get through it. That I didn't think of it as being a death sentence.
Okay.
I don't know how Robert accepted. I don't know if he went through, because he would never really discuss his feelings. Only time he ever asked a question really about his treatment. And we had been getting treatment maybe for 5-6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me one day, he said, Chris, I don't think the treatment's working. I said, why do you say that? He said, I just don't think they're working. And I'm thinking, well, maybe there's something his body is feeling. maybe there's something mental, but up until that time, he would not really discuss the cancer. So on our next visit, I was always with him when he talked to the doctor, always there with him for his treatment. And I told Dr. P, I said, Robert don't seem to think that the treatment's working. He said, why? I said, I don't know. And he turned the monitor around so we could see it. And he said, Mr. Green, he said, the treatment is working. He said, if the treatment weren't working, he said, look at your numbers, where they were then and where they are now. Mm-hmm. He said, your numbers are good. And this is the first time he'd ever said this to either one of us. He said, Mr. Green, if the treatment wasn't working from when you came in here, you would be dead by now. Mm. So, that was some encouragement that put my mind on the track. Okay, treatment's working. It's fighting the cancer. We're going to get through this. And that was my whole thought. We're going to get through this. But we didn't.
And I can remember coming to see him, and he always looked good.
Yeah.
He never really looked sickly or like someone that was in the stages of getting ready to check out. So I can understand that denial part.
Yeah. And they always give you, because of the type of treatments he was getting, and we were told that treatment was 75 to 85% productive.
Okay.
There had been several people who had the same, gone through cancer. They had taken that treatment and they made it through. But he and they would tell us about the side effects of the cancer treatment. He never had any. About all the stuff up they told me to buy, for his side effects, but he never experienced any side effects. Mm-hmm. No. But Robert going into this illness, Robert had been grieving himself for a very long time. And 2003, mm-hmm. I believe it was 2003, I'm not sure. Maybe it was 2013. Maybe it was 2013 it was. He lost his mom. Mm. His mom, I think she lived to be 103, but he lost his mom. Only boy of 5 children, 4 girls in him.
Right.
He was mama's boy, and he was spoiled rotten when I got him. And they tell me I continued the journey, but he, and then go on to 2016. In June, he lost his only son. I mean, very unexpected. Mm-hmm. No illness, no nothing, just getting sick, going to the hospital and passing. And less than 6 months later, he lost his sister Ethel. Now, Robert, from the time he divorced his wife, had lived with his mother and sister. So his sister was almost like a second mother to him.
Wow.
So after experiencing, I think, those 2 deaths back to back, and somebody that was so very close to him, by that next year, he had fallen into, I think, a state of grief, but he never shared that information with anybody. We woke up, but Robert joined the church. A few years before that, was baptized, right. And he joined Cornerstone with me and the rest of the family. And church-going man, changing his life. And I got up one Sunday morning, and he would always get up before me. And he'd get up and start preparing to get ready for church, and I would get up. And this particular Sunday morning, I got up, and he's still in bed. And I'm going, Rob? I said, are you going to church? No. I said, Any reason why? Because I'm thinking maybe he don't feel good or something. He said, just don't want to. Next Sunday rolled around. Robert, did you go to church? Nope. Why? I don't feel like it. I don't want to. And this grief for him lasted 7 years, on until the time that we found out he had cancer. His life stopped completely.
That was my question. Is church the only thing that he separated himself from?
No, he separated himself from friends, from his family. We used to travel a lot. We used to have date night. We belonged to a card club. All of that ceased to desist. I mean, just like that. And, I talked to his doctor because I would always make sure I go in when he have his doctor visits. And so I'll know what was going on with him even before this. And I told his doctor what I thought was going on with him. And he was in denial. He said, no. And our doctor suggested medications for what he was going through, and he said, I don't want it. And I said, well, do you don't want to take the medication because it was an antidepressant? I said, don't want to take it because of the stigma of what it's for? He said, yeah. I tried to get him to get professional help, to talk to somebody. It's just like he hit rock bottom. He fell into that hole, and he did not have the will or the want to come up out of it.
So do you feel like he pushed you away too, or he drew closer to you because you were the one that was left there with him?
He didn't push me away, but the cards stopped.
Okay.
Because he did not leave the house. So he did not go buy cards. He would get up, go to the bathroom, and eat dinner or breakfast, and that was it. Every once in a while, he would, and I'm still waiting for this. Every once in a while, he would come into the kitchen because I'd sit in the kitchen watching TV. He'd come into the kitchen and massage my shoulder, and I said, you need anything? He said, no, I just come to see if you're all right. If I left the house to go to church, to the grocery store, whatever, he would always get up and come and look. And once he see it was me, he'd go back to bed. But my life changed. I didn't have to go to the grocery store. I didn't have to pump gas. I didn't have to wash my car. I helped cook. But all that stopped. He eventually handed over his checkbook and his bank card to me because now I'm having to take care
of everything.
And sometimes that made me feel alone. But at least I had him.
Right.
At least he was here. He was breathing, he could talk.
Now, this was not the first husband that you lost to death as a result of illness, but you were younger.
Yes.
With the first one that you lost. Did maturity and age, you think, make a difference in how you felt at the death of each? I know you loved both of them equally when you were with them, but you were more mature when Robert died. Did that make a difference in how you were able to handle his death?
It's strange. I lost my husband, I was 43. He was 42. We knew he was going to die.
Okay.
They gave him 6 months to live. God gave me 18. I don't know. I don't know. It's because I was young, did not understand or did not grasp that type of loss, because it definitely did not affect me
The same.
the same. Maybe because I was young and I realized that I still had a life. You know what I'm saying? There was still joy, hope, all that stuff was still out there for me because I was so young. At 79, it's like I've lost everything. You know. I just expect to live my life alone by myself. I don't even think about a future with in a relationship or anything like that. But when I was younger, that was a possibility.
Absolutely.
You know. But not a lot of people out there want a 79-year-old woman. You know what I'm saying?
And also with the first one, you had children.
Yes.
That you had to concern yourself with and
And they were home, so I wasn't alone.
Right.
I wasn't sitting in the house alone because they were there too. You know. And I think that made a big difference. But here, all my kids are grown. They've got their own lives. You know, so that was the difference. I don't see a future for me now. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
I think I do.
You know, all I got is just to live. You know, until my time comes. Yeah.
So let's just imagine that you had one more day with Robert. Okay. What do you think it would be like?
Knowing what I know now, just laying back there in that bed and just holding him. Making sure I spend every moment that I can with him. Making sure he understands how much he's meant to me being in my life.
It's wonderful.
You know, just not letting those special moments slide by. You know, you start taking people for granted. We were married, we were together for almost 30 years, you know. So you sometimes start taking people for granted, you know, when they want to hold your hands up. I got to go cut the pot off on the stove. You know what I'm saying? You know, you don't realize of the moments that you missed because you're doing something else that you think is more important at the time.
At the time.
You know, until that person is gone, and then you realize, you know what? When he wanted to cuddle, I should have did that rather than jumping up answering the phone. You know, you just. So I would definitely just spend as much time as I could with him.
You said earlier that in marriage there are ups and downs, times when you get upset with each other, time when you love on each other, laugh, all of those things. What are some triggers, you know, like movies that he like or his favorite kind of music and things like that that brings either laughter or joy or a sense of his being near you when those things happen?
Robert was a music man.
Okay.
Had a great voice. Would always sing to me when we're in the car. He was an R&B man.
Okay.
You know, and he would always sing and gesture to let me know that that song that he was singing was specially for me.
Wow.
You know, and when we got in the car, going back and forth for his treatment or to the doctor, I miss that man that would sit there and sing, you know, because he lost his joy for doing that.
Wow. And that was 7 years prior to.
7 years prior to his death that we went through this journey of him not. I don't know what the word to describe it, but him just being with no purpose.
Wow.
And I think that's what my son said about him one time. He acts like he has no purpose, and I can understand how devastating it can be when you lose people that are that special and that close to him. Ethel hold all his secrets.
And she died with him.
Yep, she held all his secrets.
Ethel is his sister.
Yeah, they were just that. They were just that. They were just that close. I don't know, but that was him.
So in essence, that was almost a grieving process that you were going through with during those 7 years.
Yep. I grieved because I had lost the man that I fell in love with. He no longer exists. And I could not bring him back. No matter what I tried or suggested, I couldn't bring him back. And I don't think it had anything to do with me.
Right.
But to be honest with you, a lot of times I felt like he was being selfish, but I didn't understand, like I understand now, the grief that he was going through. And you can't understand somebody's grief.
That's true. And you can't regulate it.
Yeah. And by the time I realized what I thought it was, we were into some years.
So, if you had something to say to him today or prior to his death, what is it that you wish you had said to him?
There are a couple of things. I still struggle with the fact that I never told him that he was dying. And at the time, I thought it was the best thing for him. I didn't want him laying back in the hospital bed in the bedroom, knowing that his end was going to come. But I think when he got to a certain point, he kind of realized he wasn't coming back, and that was probably about 3 or 4 weeks before he passed. I think he realized because I was sitting beside his bed one morning and he said, "Chris," he said, "am I going to be all right?" And I kind of looked away and went to look like I was going to get the controls or something. And I said, "Yeah, you're going to be all right." I said, "We just have to get your strength back up so you can start walking again." I said, "That's what we're working on now." And he didn't say, okay. He didn't say, I understand. He didn't say. But like I said, I think he knew that because he started slipping away, not responding, not eating, just. I think I would have spent more time with him. I don't think I spent enough time with him when he was passing.
When you say spending time, because you were here with him.
I was here in the house with him, but I should have been at his bedside.
Okay.
More, but I still had to run a house. I had to take care of errands, I had to still maintain a life for both of us, But I still wished I had spent, because when he passed, I had just walked back in the room. I was in here doing dishes for breakfast, and I wasn't there when he started transitioning. Those are the things that I wished I'd done different.
Now, if this is uncomfortable for you, you just tell me to ask the next question.
Okay.
But you were with the doctor. The doctor showed you his vitals and how he was improving, and that, the doctor was very optimistic that things were going to go well. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what happened?
We found out in March of 2024 that Robert had cancer, and it came up from a routine doctor's appointment. Mm-hmm. We were going to the doctor every 4 months. So we had gone in November. The next appointment was in March, so we made our March appointment. And maybe about 3 or 4 days later, the doctor's office called and says that we saw something strange in Robert's blood, and we need him to go see a doctor. Well, the first thing after you've had a doctor's appointment and the doctor's office call you, you kind of figure, okay, something's going on. But when they called, I just thought, increase your medication or, something like that.
Right.
So I said, okay. And they said, you need to call and make an appointment with Dr. Patel. And I said, okay. I said, but what kind of doctor is Dr. Patel? Because they're not giving me a lot of information. And they said, he's an oncologist. I know what an oncologist is. So I immediately called the office, and they immediately got us in. It wasn't no 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we can see you. They immediately got us in. And they ran some more blood work, and they told us that he had liver cancer. They never really gave us a stage that it was in, but they just said, it was very serious. Serious enough that we need to start treatment now. We need him to have a biopsy, but we need to have him start treatment now. So they immediately start the treatment. And we were getting treatments every 21 days, which meant that some months we would have 2 treatments a month. And he was tolerating the treatments well. Come October, I told you the talk that we had to the doctor about him thinking the cancer wasn't working for him, the treatment. Come November, I get up and I come in the kitchen, get prepared to cook breakfast for him. And I go back to check on him because he's in the bed. And I said, Robert, he was asleep. And I said, Robert, wake up. Because I smelled an odor. I said, wake up. I said, you've had an accident in the bed. He said, huh? I said, you had an accident in bed. He said, I can't move. He said, Chris, I can't move. So my sister was here because we had a project that we was working on at the house. So she helped me get him cleaned up. I called his doctor, and his doctor says, take him to the emergency room so they could check him. So they come and they take him to the emergency room. We get there, and I am always letting everybody know that put their hands on him. He has cancer. He's a cancer patient because they need to know how to treat him.
Right.
And so they put him in the hospital, and they said he had extreme diarrhea, and he was very dehydrated. So they put him on the usual. They get the diarrhea under control. They finally get him dehydrated, but he still can't walk. So they keep him there for about 10 or 12 days. And of course, I'm there sleeping in the chair. And then they decided to send him to rehab to try to get him to walk.
Okay.
They sent him to rehab, and I don't know why they send people to rehab, because the policy is if the person says, I don't feel like it, I don't want to, they don't do it. So, and that was his thing. He said, I don't feel like it, I don't want to. Me, I get there, they tell me that, I said, come here now. I'm here, let's go to rehab. But he was really too weak to do anything. So he was there maybe three days, maybe 4. And Tracy and I was going over every day to check on him and see on him and sit with him. And to be honest with you, the place was very depressing. It was not the atmosphere of a rehab for somebody. I thought I had chosen a very good place by the name, but it just didn't turn out that way. Anyway, 3 or 4 days later, we realized he has a cyst on his back. Now, nobody over there realized he's got this cyst, although they're supposed to be bathing him every day, changing him every day, putting clothes on him every day. And the cyst was probably about that big. And I finally kept on until they agreed that they needed with me that they need to take him, send him to the emergency room. So they sent him to the emergency room, and they said, they had this cyst on his back, and they were going to lance it and drain it. And I'm thinking, okay, you're the medical profession, you know what you're doing, and it's not an emergency surgery that has to be performed, but if you think that's And, like once again, he's a cancer patient, y'all. You need to understand that he's a cancer patient. So they go in and they lance the back, and then they decided that they're going to keep him in the hospital. So they keep him in the hospital for another 10 days. In the meantime, I come home to get a change of clothes, and I get this call. And this doctor says to me, "May I speak to Miss Green?" I said, "This is she." He said, "I'm just calling to tell you your husband's going to die." And I'm going, What did you just say to me?" He said, "I'm just calling to let you know that because of the open wound on his back, because when they lanced it, they did not close it, the wound. They left it open to keep it packed. So he said because of the open wound on his back, he's not going to be able to get his cancer treatment. And without his cancer treatment, he's going to die." I'm saying, I can't believe that you would call me at home. I said, I'm at that hospital 24/7. I said, I can't believe you would call me at home to tell me over the phone that my husband's going to die. I said, I don't understand what you're saying to me. So I said, we need to talk. So Tracy and I went the next day, sat down with the same guy, and he told me the same thing. That because they lanced that boil on his back, and it would not heal because he's a cancer patient. My husband's.
So is this hospital the same hospital that Dr. Patel?
No, Dr. Patel was in Noonan,
Okay.
but it's still Piedmont. Dr. Patel is a Piedmont doctor.
Okay.
We're in the Piedmont Hospital as well.
Okay.
So his records are all over the place.
Okay.
All they got to do is open my chart. Not on that, I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm telling you that he is a cancer patient. I mean, no one shared with either one of us because I was there when they examined him. Only time I walked out the room was when they got ready to lance it. No one told either one of us what the outcome would be if they would lance this boil on his back. It wasn't an emergency.
Right.
It could have waited until the next day. It could have probably waited to a week or so later. It could have waited until somebody got together and decide what else can we do because he is a cancer patient. And if we open up that wound and we can't close it up, and the doctors, he can't get his cancer treatment. Because after this, I'm calling the doctor's, Dr. Patel's office every 2 weeks. Okay, is any way we can get cancer treatment? Anything we can do? No, Miss Green, as long as he's got that wound on his back, that open wound that was open until the day he died, we can't give him cancer treatment. There's nothing we can do. So they transitioned him out of the hospital to another rehab, found another rehab to put him in. And they keep him there exactly the time that Medicare would pay for it. And the day before Medicare ran out, they called me for a meeting. And I would never let them discuss his situation in front of him because he's alert.
Right.
He's aware of what's going on. He's alert. He's talking. He's eating. He's getting up, going to the bathroom. He's alert. And they tell me that we need to put Mr. Green needs to go to hospice. I've dealt with hospice before, so I know what that means. That means they're telling you that he didn't have long to live. And they are, and I wasn't happy with that facility either. But they're telling me, that we can put him in hospice here, we can do this here. I said, no, you won't. I've witnessed how you treat him here. I said, if you're telling me my husband's going to die, he's going to die at home with me. So you guys just get prepared to send him home. And that's what they did. They wheeled him in this house in a wheelchair because he could not walk. And the first thing out of his mouth was, "Thank God I'm home." So that was the best decision I could have made. He was in home hospice care until he passed.
So that seemingly misunderstanding, whatever it was with them lancing his back, has that impacted your grief, you think?
Oh, Jesus, it impacted a lot of things. My anger to the medical profession, how they could be so callous with somebody. You expect them to be the person with knowledge. Now I can understand if he'd gone in there with an illness or something and didn't know how to diagnose it or whatever.
Right.
But that wasn't the case. This should have been a textbook procedure. We can't do this. We either have to let him live with it or, find another alternative other than opening it up. Because he is a cancer patient. Mm-hmm. And if we do this, he will not be able to get his cancer. He will not be able to get his treatment. That should have been textbook. Wow. So, I was very angry with them. And my thing to them is, you killed my husband. I told them, you killed him. And they couldn't understand why I would say that.
So do you think can you foresee having a life of peace again, being happy, being joyful, and acceptance of the situation where you are now?
I will be happy. I'll have peace. Maybe joy, but not like I had before. Happy because, life goes on. You have to accept what has been put before you. It doesn't mean I'll have peace, but I may be peaceful.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I don't see myself ever being as happy as I was before.
Now, I know you're a big holiday, especially Christmas person. How did you navigate the holidays?
I didn't do well for his birthday, which was March, right after his death.
Okay.
I was going too much to even realize Valentine's Day was even here. Anniversary was rough. My birthday would have been bad, but Shannon was here, my son, and he decided, well, we're just going to have some people over. Everybody bring a dish, and we're just going to celebrate your birthday.
Okay.
And he was here with me. Thanksgiving, it was kind of hard, but Christmas is my favorite time of year. It represents so many things to me. And I think my mom started me on that journey of loving Christmas. Mm-hmm. So my whole thought was, I'm not going to decorate this year. I'm not going to have the family over for dinner this year. I'm just going to crawl in my bed, watch TV, and call it a day. Mm-hmm. Well, as you know, that didn't happen. Start watching TV, start watching a lot of the decorating shows. Kept looking at what they were doing and kept thinking I have so much Christmas decoration. I have a shed in the back
just for you
that has nothing but Christmas decoration in it. Mm-hmm. So after start looking at it, I start thinking, well, maybe I can do a little stuff. I didn't do it on the scale that I always do, but I started. And I found when I started, it kind of gave me some peace in my mind, because I'm all involved in what I'm doing. I don't have time to think about being alone. I don't have to think about, him not being here. And I just kept going on and kept going and going and going until I finally ended up decorating the whole house. Okay. So then I decided, okay, I'm not cooking. We're not doing Christmas dinner. But then had family that said, we have to have Christmas. We have to have Christmas together. So I decided, okay, instead of dinner, we'll just do a brunch and everybody bring something. So everybody agreed to doing that. And I said, we'll just pull names and that would be the gift. Well, I guess 2 days before Christmas, my nephew's wife, my sister's son and daughter-in-law, she texted me and she said, do you have a problem with us spending the night Christmas? And I'm thinking, I guess not. And I said, no, it'll be all right. So we had prepared for them to spend the night. And I think we ended up having 12 people that spent the night. Christmas night. We had them on blow-up mattress. We had them on the floor. We had them in the bed. And I thought when everything settled, it would really get me, right? Mm-hmm. Family is such an amazing thing.
It is.
I had so many people around me, and even when I usually go off into my bedroom, and that's where I have my silence, and that's where I have my tears, and I can't cry. There's no silence. I got 2 people on the floor, and my sister's in the bed with me. It's like, it's like God is good. this was his way of bringing me through this holiday.
Absolutely. And they knew it.
So it was very, very bearable, and I had to expect the worst.
Okay. You spoke about your mom being the catalyst for your love and zeal for decorating for Christmas. You've lost her, you lost your mother, and you've had other deaths in your life. Does Robert's death seem to be the most devastating for you?
Yes, it has, and I don't understand exactly why, but I guess it has made me feel a little bit more alone, than when Mom passed. When Mom passed, I had Robert. When my brother passed, I had my family, but I'm saying people who were connected to me every day.
Right.
I had him to lean on. But with him gone, I don't have him to lean on anymore. And I got my kids call me constantly because they live out of state. Making sure I'm all right. Neighbors, church members, friends. But this death has been more devastating to me than any that I have. I haven't experienced the loss of a child. And to me, that probably would be the thing that would be the most devastating. But losing a spouse, someone that was positive in your life, someone that you love, someone that was always here. He wasn't the type of man that, stayed out in the streets. And he get off work, he come home. Weekend, he's home. Except that he would go to the grocery store, buy the groceries, bring them back. I put them up. Getting the car washed and stuff. He was here. I was never really alone. And I think that's what made his death so devastating, because I don't have that anymore.
And the way you talk about him, it was just such a blessing that the Lord had entrusted him to you for the time that he had entrusted him to you. And he was such a blessing.
Yeah. When my husband
life.
passed before Robert, this is what I said. I said, Lord, I've had 2 good marriages, 2 good men in my life. And I said, some women don't have one. So whatever you put in front of me, I'll accept. That was me. That was my thought. And then come Robert Green, another good man. When we moved in together, I said, look, I don't take care of man. If you're here, I don't expect you to take care of me, but I do expect you to share the financial responsibility of one in this house. I'm working, I got a job, I got money, I can take care of myself. He had no problems with that. And when we got married, he said, we're married now. I said, yeah. He said, I'm taking over the responsibility of the house. Good man. Not a man who didn't have faults now.
We understand. We understand. We all do have faults.
Yeah. He was a man and he had his faults, but he was very respectful of me. So, it was like God had given me another good man. And all I needed to do was take care of him. And that's what I did until the day he died. I made sure his food was on the table. I made sure his clothes was clean. I made sure his house was taken care of. I made sure he was taken care of with my husband.
You did that. You did that. And it is wonderful also that you decided to bring purpose out of the pain that you have realized at his death in starting this podcast. And in doing so, you never know how many lives you have touched, just by being able to let other people know that they're not in it alone.
Yeah.
And there is hope. And so, pain from your grief, everything is going to be all right.
I know. I have to believe that, because that's what got me to where I am today. And I thought about this the other day. I'm going, God has blessed me so well. It doesn't seem like it was almost a year ago. Mm-hmm. It was like I went through this, like I blinked and here I am a year later. Mm-hmm. I do have to admit that a lot of times I be thinking, you know how you have dreams and they feel so
Right.
real. Sometimes I be thinking, God, when are you gonna wake me up out of this dream? You know. But it's not a dream.
It's not a dream. That's the acceptance part. It's not a
Not
dream.
a dream. It's real. He has gone ahead of me, and I never thought, because I had some challenges, illness and some challenges. I always thought that I would go before you.
Plus, there's longevity in his family
Yeah,
as far as life.
yeah.
Well,
God had better plans. Better.
So thank you so much for.
I wrote this, and then I'm gonna let you take us out.
Okay.
There's not a single day go by that I don't think of you or talk to you. Your love and all the cherished moments guide me through this lonely journey. When I'm missing you so much, it hurts. I have to stop and remember how fortunate I was to have such a wonderful and loving man in my life for almost 30 years. And God did that.
Did that.
Because of his grief, because of Robert's grief, the last few years were not wasn't our best, but we made it the best we could. But you left this world with my knowing how much you loved me. I wouldn't trade that for anything. I still listen for your voice in quiet moments. Your love was my shelter, my strength. I carry you with me every day. Thank you for loving me. Whew, this little country girl from Conyers, Georgia. I'll always be yours until we meet again.
Beautiful. Sounds like poetry, but it's real life. It's real life.
It's
real
life. It's the life we live. It's the life we lived. The two of us. That Rocky. But the one thing that he would not do. I remember one time I got mad at him, and I just went and I went and got in the bed in the guest bedroom, and I'm mad, I look up and he's coming through the door. I said, "What you doing in here?" He said, "I come in to get in bed with my wife." So it was hard for me to stay mad at him because he just wouldn't let me.
Wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your feelings, your grief, your pain, your times of happiness and your times of joy. And it is evident that you're at a point where even though you're still grieving, the belief is there.
Oh, yes.
You know that God has you.
He has me. He has me. Oh, God, does he have me.
And again, to our audience, thank you for sharing with us and being with us today. And we hope to have you to continue to press that button and join us as part of our members on this podcast. Thank you, and God bless you.
And thank you for being with me today and doing this for me.